I have just shy of 2,000 miles on it right now, and that's surprising. It feels like I should have more because I drive it all the time. I think the big reason for that is that my distance between my house and where I work is about 1.5 miles maybe. So, you know, being that I'm only driving, you know, a total of about 3 miles a day on the scooter, it's just like sometimes I go out of my way, you know, can I drive home a different way just so I can put some more miles on it, because I love riding it. It's so much more fun than riding my car or riding other motorcycles I've had in the past. Let's talk about the good, let's talk about the bad. The bad right off the bat, corrosion on the side of the strip. I have no idea what this is. It's only on this side, it's not on this side. It's only on one side, and it's pretty bad. Especially here in the shade, you can really see it in the shade pretty well. But if I come around to the other side, there's no residue at all, and there's no corrosion. It can't have anything to do with where I'm parking the scooter or where I'm riding the scooter or what I'm using to wash it, because I do everything the same practically every day. I park in the same location. At work, I ride the same. I drive the same path on the way back and forth to work. When I go to the store or whatever, it's always the same. Riding around on grass is actually considerably different. I don't feel quite as stable, but I feel a heck of a lot more stable than I did when I used to ride my motorcycle on the grass. In fact, I would really go out of my way to avoid driving on the grass because the motorcycle was just that unstable. Probably has a lot to do with the fact that the motorcycle was 800 pounds, but you know, it's not a big deal riding around on the grass in the Vespa. But I think I just have to be a little bit more careful than when I'm driving in my other vehicle. The front storage, I really don't use the front storage unless I'm going to put a bag on here that I'm going to end up putting on here. You don't want it flying all over the place when you're on your way to the store, so you just push it up under here. This really does fit nice and tight, so that works really well for me. So this is really only held on by 3 bolts. These bolts here and this one. This one's actually longer than these two, and they connect here on the faceplate or the horn cover. So you can keep it on there or not. I actually took it off yesterday for the very first time because I just wanted to see what it looks like without it. It actually, the little rubber piece, that's not stuck to it, it's just kind of dirty. I need to clean that off. But these little rubber pieces here, that's this stuff here. And so the reason I took it off, originally I wasn't sure if this actually had some kind of a screw or something that went into the front here, and that would have really been disappointing. But I just wanted to get an idea of what it looks like. If I didn't have the top box, I wouldn't be able to bring anything with me anywhere I go. The storage underneath the seat is fine, but really the top box is much more important. I recommend the top box if you plan on doing any kind of scootering around and you want to carry something. Without the top box, you're counting on the seat, the under-seat storage, and you can't put anything that you want to keep cold under there because the heat from the engine is going to warm it up and start cooking your food, and maybe you don't want that, especially if you're carrying a soda or some drinks or whatever. I can put in a lot of stuff in here. I actually can fit the helmet in here, and I can put some other things here if I need to, you know, some food, whatever. But I use this all the time. I carry food back and forth to work every single day, and I can't, this is probably the most important thing for me, to take something that's fun. The scooter is fun, and let's make it functional, and I need this to do so. I think the one thing that frustrates me the most, honestly, about it is that I have to use a different key for the top box than I do for the scooter. Okay, the hook. The hook works great. Really works great if I want to carry something in the hook. I can put a bag, whatever. Just remember that the bag needs to have some kind of weight to it, otherwise the wind wants to really throw it all over the place. Storage under here. There's nothing to brag about, but I do have, you know, rain gear, towels, some gloves. The white rag is important because when you fill it up with gasoline, if you don't wrap this little rag around, it's going to overflow and you're going to have nothing to wipe it with. So I would keep that in mind. It's really important to do so. The key fob also doesn't work that great. It just, with the car, I'm so used to just clicking the key fob and it opens up. With the scooter, sometimes you can see I'm actually clicking it, nothing's happening. I mean, what's going on, right? And there it goes, it finally opens. And what I found is, once it opens, then it wants to open constantly without any problem. And so there's a lot of heat that builds up in here, and so I found that if I want to put anything cold, like a cold drink or or snacks or whatever, and I don't want them to melt, it's really best to use the top box for that. But there's plenty of space. Obviously there's no space for storage, but okay, it's not hot, but I can feel the heat here from the engine, so the engine's definitely going to be warm. So here's something I've noticed. If you look really closely here, there's it's almost like the paint is chipped, but it's not really chipped. It's kind of weird. It hasn't gotten any better, it hasn't gotten any worse. I don't know what it is, but it is worth mentioning. With closing, it can be a problem. I mean, I'm pushing pretty hard, but you have to really slam it. They say, there's give here and here. There's no give. It's not moving, okay? And this isn't loose. This isn't loose. But I have to really push it hard like that to get it to close. Cleaning is really quick. From the time I put water in the bucket until the time I'm finished, we're talking 15 minutes max. One thing I always run into with cleaning that's annoying, and it's not Vespa's fault, but the clearance here is you know, it's negligible. You can't really clean in here. So I clean the wheels as much as I can, and then I have to pick up the front and rotate the wheel so I can get to the other parts of the wheel. Everyone talks about rust. I have no rust on mine whatsoever anywhere. I don't understand what this whole conversation is about rust. I live in Florida, Central Florida, right next to the Atlantic Ocean. If anything's gonna rust, it should rust here. And I have absolutely zero rust. I've been riding it for over 6 months in these conditions, and I have no rust. Maybe the people who are having rust, maybe they just don't wash it. So again, I have no rust. I've looked underneath the scooter several times, and I've looked all over all the locations where you'd expect to maybe see some rust, and there just isn't any rust. I'm gonna really put it up underneath here. Me personally, I think it's pretty important to have the windshield. Without the windshield, you're really going to get a lot of wind in your face. Obviously, that's why it's called a windshield. But I find that if I duck my head down a little bit, maybe I'm getting a little too much wind. I can kind of just duck my head down a little bit, and I know that I've got the windshield on because I can really feel the wind hitting me right around here. I still love the scooter. I use it every single day. I use it to go to work. I use it when I want to go to the grocery store. I almost sometimes look for excuses to use the scooter just to get out of the house. I've seen a lot of the other scooters around. They're not Vespas, but I usually see small scooters like the little Hondas and some of the Yamaha scooters, but none of them are as pretty as Vespas. So I'm very happy with my purchase.